there is a very simple formula for how you decide what your hourly rate should be as a consultant. Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Eugene Day. I want to share with you today how to price yourself as a consultant. This is something that a lot of people have a lot of difficulty with, which is totally natural. Especially when you're starting out, it can be very, very difficult to say, this is how much I'm worth per hour to do work for you. And it's a big deal emotionally to be able to charge what you're worth, what your expertise is worth, what your field is worth, especially at the beginning, because so many people are like, well, I don't really have a proven track record and I want to make sure that I can do what I do and that I can make a living doing it. A lot of people are going to be familiar with how much money a company pays for contractors in various industries, like especially if you're in tech, the way I am. It's very common that even if your institution hires full-time data analysts, data engineers, data scientists, they probably also contract with them when they have surge needs, right? When there's a large project or a big lift that they need to confront with extra labor, they don't hire those people. They bring on contractors that work for an outside agency on a temporary basis. And I was in leadership at my last organization and I did a lot of the negotiation of those contracts for those people. And it's staggering what you get charged for them. Sometimes an analyst who's really good at, say, Epic, the electronic medical record, you may have to pay a contracting agency $250 or $280 an hour for their time. And you think, good Lord, I don't make that much money. Nobody should make that much money. It's ridiculous. It's a huge sum. And of course, the person who's doing the work isn't making anything close to that. What they're making is a standard FTE salary, the way anybody that works for your firm would. And what you're paying for is that contracting agency's expertise in hiring and providing people that are good. You're paying for the ability to say, your job's done now, we're letting you go, without it counting as a layoff, without having to be on the hook for someone's unemployment, without risking wrongful termination, things like that. You can simply say, the job is done, you're done, see you, and pay no severance, nothing. So that's why companies like contractors, because they can bring them on easily, they can discharge them easily. And there's a premium that they pay for that because these contracting companies have whole staffs of HR and other professionals who help match their contractors to the jobs that they're needed for. And those people have to be paid too. And so when you hire on a contractor at $280 an hour or something like that, you're paying for all of the things that that company does that that contractor can't actually bill for their time. They're only billing for the hours they work on your project. So they bill at a very high rate in order to cover all of the ancillary support services that their company offers, including that company's profit. So it's reasonable to ask then, how much should you charge for your services? Because maybe you made $150,000, just to make the numbers easy, at your last job, at your last company as a data analyst. Now you're working on your own and you want to know how much should you charge per hour because you're a contractor now, right? And you're not going to be getting 40 hours a week for an undefined period of time. You're going to be getting gigs where you may have as little as 25 hours of commitment and you may have as much as a couple of hundred. I typically write contracts when I have a new client who's coming on for anywhere between 40 and 200 hours worth of work. Prior to any work being done that I'm actually being paid for, there's an enormous amount of work that goes into getting that job. It's kind of like being on a layoff journey. You have to research jobs, you have to send out your resume, you have to interview for positions. In the case of being a consultant, I am having meetings, I'm marketing, I'm advertising, I'm negotiating contracts, I'm negotiating a rate, and attempting to write all of the statements of work that I'm willing to do for what they're willing to pay. And that takes a lot of time. It can take as many hours doing that work as I actually get paid. I usually write my contracts, like I said, for 40 to 200 hours worth of work. And I'm going to be spending at least that much chasing down that business in the first place as a consultant, as a contractor. So really then I need to figure out what to charge so that I can have a reasonable living and a reasonable work life without having to spend all day, every day and night trying to drum up business and still have a career that's going to work and provide the needs that I have in supporting my family. So the big reveal, how do I figure this out? It's actually not that bad. First, find the going rate for someone that does what you do as a full-time employee of a company. And usually that's available. You can look on Glassdoor or Indeed. There's a lot of different ways to find out what an average salary is. These days, you can even just ask ChatGPT. This is a great use for AI. There is a very simple formula for how you decide what your hourly rate should be as a consultant based on how much you could make as an employee with benefits at another company. Using our example from before, let's say that salary is $150,000 a year. You are hoping to be able to make about $150,000 a year as a consultant. That would be lovely. The first thing you do is multiply that by 1.3 for fringe. These are the fringe benefits that if you were an employee at a major corporation, you would be getting: vacation, sick time, health insurance, etc. That's about 30% of your salary that is sort of hidden from you. It's not taken out of your salary. It is in addition to your salary. It's part of your compensation package. So 1.3 times 150 is 195. So that's $195,000 a year is the amount of money that you would need to generate in order to have the life of a person who had a $150,000 salary with benefits. So in order to make $195,000 a year, when you're only being paid for half your time, you need to work 1,000 hours. Working 1,000 hours at $195 an hour is $195,000 a year. So it's super easy. There's a very simple, straightforward formula for this, and that is take the annual salary you want, $195,000 a year, and drop 3 zeros, 195. And that's your hourly rate. $195 an hour. If you can drum up 1,000 hours of business in the 1,000 hours of time that you work that you don't get paid for, that will generate the salary that you're looking for if you can create enough business for yourself. So thank you so much for sharing time with me here today. YouTube thinks you're going to like that one. Let's put it over there. And I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. Talk to you again soon. Bye.